You were saying you were closer with Flash, but you did know Melly Mel at that point.
No, we'd see each other out in places, and we knew. Oh, also we did Beach Street.
Okay. Oh, that's right. He was in that with you guys, right?
Yeah, he was in Beach Street. So
yeah.
There was always like all this kind of cross connection of. By the time the system took off, we were kind of in our own little sphere. We didn't really go out that much. It was kind of, we were producing a lot, working a lot.
Yeah.
So there was a whole period where I kind of didn't go out that much. Maybe only to special events or something. So they always stayed more current in terms of like going in the clubs and being on the scene.
Okay, so had you kept in touch with him all this time with Melly Mel, or was it like a chance meeting again with you guys coming together?
Well, we really came together because Lloyd, I guess, Lloyd was a fan of mine, and Lloyd had to contact with him, and then he kind of parlayed that to call Melly and say, I have this record, Mick Murphy's on it, would you like to come, and be on it?
And that's Lloyd DeZoid that you're referring to?
Yeah, Lloyd.
Who executive produced the Electro Soul Satisfaction?
Yeah, I mean, he single-handedly is responsible for...
Oh, really? Well, now...
putting all the pieces together. He was a diplomat, but his enthusiasm is pervasive.
Okay. Now, so tell me a little bit about the Diplomat and Lloyd DeZoid, because to me they're new names. What is their background, and how did you come to work with them?
I have no idea. He was just a very persistent fan who sent me... I think he sent me email and said, I love your stuff, man. I see you worked on this. Would you consider working on a track if I send you something? And I was kind of like, yeah, kid, send me something. If I like it, I'll do it. It was kind of like that.
Okay.
Not arrogant, but I get a lot of requests like that. And usually when they send the music, it's I don't hear anything that I would be interested in doing. So he sent me one track that was not exactly the vein I liked. And then he sent me this other track that I liked, and I said, well, let me see if I have some time, I'll write something on it. And he just kept, emailing me, when am I going to get it? When am I going to get it? He didn't stop. And he's like, I'm going to be there in May. I'm going to be there on May 11th. And it was like the 8th. Would you just come to the studio and record it?
Wow.
So I think I wrote it like that day or something, the day before, and went down and recorded it. And, it sounded pretty good. So, he said, let me see what I can do, and I'll take it from there. So, and he's a DJ, and he's real.
Oh, wow.
He's really into the electro, like furthering his mission is to keep electro alive.
So, was it kind of? I mean, you said you did it really quickly. Did you have any goal in mind, artistically or socially, even when you wrote the lyrics? Because I know you mentioned in there, just a quote from the lyrics: "I don't want dope, I don't want weed. Your dose of love is all I need." And then later on you sing, "It takes a strong man to lose control, come satisfy my electro soul." So you kind of tied in the feeling of the electro soul music with something positive as far as, on a social level.
Besides, yeah, perhaps. I mean, that's my mental state in general. That's generally where I'm coming from. And, it's hard to articulate that in every song because you sound preachy,
Right.
But I try to straddle that fence between. I mean, the most success I've had has been writing kind of songs about romance and relationships, but I really am inclined politically. But it's hard to, particularly in R&B, which is the first place I would always touch. It'd be my touchstone always would be R&B, to do something that has political undertones. You have to find exactly the right song.
It's hard to make it accessible.
Yeah. Marvin Gaye did it, of course, with that.
Yeah.
What's going fantastically with that. But there's not been very many others, if any at all, that have had any impact other than "We Are the World." Which
right,
was,
right, yeah. It's
what I'm saying, but
a once in a lifetime thing.
It's kind of hard, and you really have to have a moment that the whole world is kind of focused on some event. Yeah, Marvin had it with Vietnam and the connection with his brother and all that. So, I would love to come up with something like that. I would love to come up with anything nowadays. It's really not now. It's not so much the writing, because I always have ideas, and it's more the reason to finish it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's more like
it's like a personal goal to fulfill.
Well, what am I finishing this for? Am I gonna actually? Is somebody gonna hear it? You know what I'm saying? It's like that becomes kind of the wall sometimes.
You're not just gonna throw something out there, but you want to know that it's gonna be able to reach some people.
Yeah, I just want to know that somebody's going to take an interest in it and put it out.
Right, exactly. Well, yeah, that's important.
As simple as that. Give me like a tuna fish sandwich and release my record.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, any kind of payment is good these days, you know.
Tell me I got to finish it by May 15th.
You'll do it.
You know, give me a reason.
So you work good under deadlines and having that like kind of timeline to work with.
Listen, I have lots of stuff that I've done. It's kind of a little bit harder to get it out there. You know, it's like harder to find somebody willing to take it to the next step, which is kind of the promotion and that whole part of it, you know?
Right.
And I have a lot of stuff that I started. In fact, I have a couple things that David and I worked on like a week ago that I'm trying to finish. So
cool.
So hopefully, like soon, there'll be something that's like really tangible that can, be released.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, the sound of Electro Soul Satisfaction obviously does harken back somewhat to the pioneering sound that you and David established, starting with Its Passion in '82. And so tell me a little bit about how that began, because I've heard, the story that I've heard actually as far as the beginning was that the song was a variation on, I think, the song Crimes of Passion that David had written with Madonna, but then something, I guess, went foul there, and so I guess...
Yeah,
right.
This is what I know about it, is that he was... Madonna and him rehearsed in the same music building. So it was divided kind of into little rehearsal rooms, and I think they were neighbors. There was the lady Camille who had a rehearsal studio there, and David shared the room with Steve Bray, who's a drummer, who also worked with Madonna. And David had written that track and given it to them, to Steve Bray and Madonna, because Steve Bray was kind of her principal producer, kind of. He was in her band, and he was kind of helping to steer her direction.
Right.
And I think she just came up with the title.
Okay. But
then they immediately wanted to change the sound of it to a more typical sound of kind of what she was doing at the time, with more guitars and, it's kind of the holiday generation of stuff. It was kind of that, it was like R&B. It was really R&B with her voice.
Yeah, as opposed to a more underground sound that you would do.
A really electronic sound.
Right.
So that was kind of the deal. And he said, nah, that's okay. I don't really want to do that. I really feel strong about what I have.
Okay.
And at the same time, I had been working with the group Clear.
Right.
And I kind of met David because Clear was getting ready to go on the road. And I was working with Dennis King to road manage him and help him with all the, the additional stuff of the band. And we went to see this singer. We went to see this singer at this club on the Upper East Side, and the singer was doing like Frank Sinatra style material or something. Yeah. And David was a keyboard player, and I could tell. I was like, yeah, I don't know about the singer, but the keyboard player is really good. You should definitely see if he wants to, come on the road with Clear.
Wow.
And that's how we initially met. So he did come on the road with Clear.
Interesting.
And it's kind of through that affiliation that he kind of heard me singing while I was on the road, and he said, hey, I have this song. Why don't you come by the loft and listen to it and see if you can write something? And
we
did it. And one day we met. I went there. I wrote the lyric. We went to the studio in Long Island, recorded it that day, and mixed it that night. And then the next day, because of my relationship with Clear and Little Macho, I knew a couple of record company people. I knew Bob Caviano at RFC, and I knew Jim Delahan, who worked for Jerry Greenberg.
Okay,
so those were like my only two people. So I had a couple of pressings made by Dennis King that day, like 3 test pressings, and I took one to each of them and told each of them that the other one wanted to sign it.
Oh, okay, that's clever.
and Jerry signed it that day, that same day. So we had a deal. We had a deal like in a 24-hour period.
Wow.